Welcome back to the Oval Podcast here. It has been a while. We are here with a good friend of mine, Kaleb Nickle. And, Kaleb, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Kaleb Nickle. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Kokomo, Indiana, and I'm a crew member on an All-Star Circuit of Champions sprint car and a crew member on USAC cars in all three divisions.
Yes, Kaleb, you are very talented. I've known Kaleb for probably a little over a year now, and we've been talking a lot, and he's been through some big things. More and more we've talked. So, Kaleb, let's start out with some questions. What has been probably your favorite moment in your racing career that you've helped with?
Ugh. Um, there's a lot of really good moments.
Yeah.
A lot of favorites up there. Um, Traveling around with like Mario Klauser is one of them. Just in general, just like being around that group of people. Um, But being in victory lane with Justin Grant last year at SmackDown was one of them.
Phenomenal. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I know you were super hyped about that one.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to you, and I remember it. You were real hyped about that one. Super stoked. Yeah, that's definitely exciting. Would you like to talk a little bit more about your trip with Mario with the All Stars?
Okay, so that was I don't remember exactly what month it was.
I remember the date, cause
You remember
remember
the date?
we were supposed to meet up that weekend, right?
Was it?
July, yeah, July 28th.
Okay, so it would have been
It was
July,
it was the July
and
like
we
28th.
went to Missouri, and we were there for 3 days. And I roll up to the race shop, and cause he put a thing out on social media or on Snapchat story. He goes, "Any of my friends want to go to Missouri for the week?" And I was like, I didn't have a job, and I had just applied at a job, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go. And I get to his race shop, and he goes, I said, who else is gonna go there? He looks at me and he goes, about that, and that was when I knew it was gonna. We were in for a long week, and so we went to Benton, Missouri, then Lake Ozark, then I-70. And the first night, it was only Mario and I learned a lot that weekend with Mario. The second night, we had a couple of people from I think it's Randy Martin Racing. They came over and helped us. And then the third night, two of the guys from Randy's team came back to help us at I-70. But that in itself was it was an experience. We'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good one.
Yeah, you met up with a lot of people that you've met online along the way as well.
We met up with Waylon Phillips, yeah.
A good friend, which speaking of him, you might see him on the podcast soon. Micro driver in Missouri. He just
Yeah.
picked up a win, his first win of the season, right?
I believe so, yeah.
At the last race at Sweet Springs. So that was big for him. I know he's super happy about that, especially with some stuff he's had going on lately. But
Yeah.
he pulled that one out, and he's very happy about that. Waylon's a good kid. Although I'm younger, but another question for you. What is your favorite kind of car you've worked on?
Uh so like growing up in Kokomo with like the non-wing sprint car scene, non-wing cars always kind of held a special place in my heart.
I knew this was coming.
And but we always had the wing cars come into town, and they were always the cool, like super cool. So like getting the chance to work on a wing car, there's literally no difference. I mean, there's obviously its differences, but if you can navigate your way around a non-wing car, you can navigate your way around a wing car pretty well. But the Silver Crown car, dude, that is the coolest car I've gotten to work on because we have both the asphalt and the dirt side, and the midget's just kind of it's there, it exists, but it's not like a Silver Crown car where you're working on the car, and then 2 weeks later you're at the track and you're doing 100 laps, and you just have the radio on, you're listening in, like you hear the driver talking, you're talking back to the driver, you're gathering information the entire time. It's something cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Another good question I have for you. What is your favorite kind of fendered race car?
Fendered race car?
Yes, sir.
Uh, I'm not really. I don't watch a lot of late model racing. I'm gonna say they're late models, but like my first experience with an actual late model race, I fell asleep.
I do that a lot.
I got so bored because the racing was just, it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like we were at Circle City, and they had just built that track, and they had a super late model show, and there were two super late models. The rest of the field were freaking crate late models. So I mean,
Jeez.
but I'm gonna either have to say UMP modifieds or the super late models.
For sure. Those are actually my top two as well. Knowing I'm from where fender cars are pretty good with, growing up around modifieds and stuff for sure. Um, I knew that question would get you. You've been running them late models a lot with Javen, which he decided he didn't want to be here today. But with Javen, y'all been ripping the late models quite a bit lately.
Every now and then.
Yeah, well, Javen likes those. Uh, Anyway, how did you become interested in working on race cars, and what led you to become a race car mechanic?
So really it all started like when I was born. Um, I my dad took me to my first race. I think I was 2 months old or 2 weeks old, somewhere in that ballpark. And I just kind of fell in love with the sport. And what really got me into wanting to be a race car mechanic was 60 years ago. I guess according to what I've been told from the family, my great grandfather, his name is Ray Turpin, I believe. He was working on an Indy car at Indianapolis in 1963. It was the Herb Agajanian and Watson Roadster, the Willard Battery Special, and they won the Indy 500 that year.
Yeah, I've heard that
So,
story quite a bit from you.
so it's kind of one of those. I found that out, and I never really wanted to be a mechanic. I always just wanted to race, but the the racing mentality is there, but needing to know what the car is going to do, how the parts work, you just got to know that stuff. You can't just go into a race car blindly and not know what the parts are doing, how the car is going to react in this situation. You have to know. And I think being a mechanic and a crew chief, that kind of stuff, uh, it's going to carry over from when from when the time does come. But just
Which could
I don't
be
know. I
very
like
soon.
the getting used to traveling is something I had to do, and I'm starting to get used to traveling a lot. But you kind of have to have all that to become a race car driver, and that's the end goal, is to become a race car driver and be successful at it.
Yes, for sure. Speaking of that, could happen soon. Who knows? But
Yeah.
what is your what is your typical day like as a race car mechanic during a race weekend?
So the typical day is well, really it starts at the racetrack. So it depends on like what track we're at. So like example, we're at Kokomo. My day starts around 3 o'clock because that's when I'll roll into the track. I'll meet up with the team. We'll unload the car, and we'll reblock the car, and we'll put a baseline setup on it, and then after hot laps, Mario typically come in and say, "Hey, the car's way too loose." He likes a really tight race car,
Yeah.
and Josh and I will get the car tightened up for him, and then we'll go out there and run. And typically we're up front. We've had a couple of issues here as of lately, but for the most part, we've had a pretty all right season. Just looking to get that first win of 23. Um, we haven't personally working with Mario. I don't think we've gotten a win since last December at the Rumble. So personally, still looking to get that first win in victory lane this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're racing with the best of the best, so it's not like every night. We go out there every night with high hopes, but it's not like you're running with the local guys at Gas City or you know. Although we do run with those guys a lot, those are still some of the hardest guys to beat because a lot of those guys that run like Putnamville and Gas City weekly are the same guys that run full time on the ESAC schedule, and sometimes we'll go run Gas City or we'll go run Putnamville, and we're battling up front with those guys, and then something happens. It can be a bunch of things, but yeah, the race night. My typical day with the racing is, you know, set up work on the car and stuff like that, and then it's just kind of how anybody's day at the racetrack would go if you're back there in the pits. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's never really the same though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. How was your experience working with RMS? Because I know you liked that one a lot.
It was short-lived,
Yeah.
but it was pretty cool. I really liked working with them last year. They're great people over there, Dave Estep and Lacey Doyle, and it just all kind of it started off because I was working with Thomas Meserol for I think 2 or 3 years on the nominating sprint car side of things, and then um I was just looking for something more, like looking for a permanent place to be, and you know, sometimes things aren't meant to be, but I met a lot of good people there from it, and that's actually how I ended up getting on the Silver Crown team. Um, but I mean, yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, for sure. I know you really liked that one. Uh, One thing I like to ask everybody I bring on, or I try to, do you have any questions for me? That's one thing I like to do.
Um, hmm, what's your favorite open wheel class?
Mm, Modifieds don't count.
Nope,
Um,
nope. Modifieds are they've got quarter panels,
yeah.
so I don't count them.
Yeah. That's a very hard one. I knew a question like this would come. Uh, hmm. That is. I really like the non-wing sprints. Those are fun. I think I'm gonna have to go with the non-wings.
That's the only viable option there.
Yeah, for sure. What safety measures do you take to ensure the well-being of the driver and the team during races?
um, well, I try to make sure the driver's belts are on properly every time before they roll out on the track. Like I'll shine a light in there and I'll double check them, and then I always make sure that they've got either their Hans or their hybrid system on. Make sure that it's all connected, and then I don't know. Most of the team that I work with, because I do more stuff with the Silver Crown car. They always end up like on top of the pit box or up on the spotter stand. I'm kind of one of the few people like I always do like I I'll throw the tires over the wall for them when we come in for like practice pit stops and stuff. Because I mean, in Silver Crown racing, you don't really get pit stops. But like in practice, he'll run 5 laps, tell us how the car's doing. He'll come in, and we'll change stagger, we'll change setup stuff, and so like I'll be rolling tire over the wall, and then I'll be throwing fuel in the car or stuff like that. So like I really primarily just focus on myself when it comes to being safe. Because I mean, everybody else I work with, they've been doing this for longer than I've been alive. So I mean, like they know what they're doing, they know what they need to do to keep themselves safe, and I just primarily work on keeping myself safe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good example. What advice would you give to someone aspiring to become a race car mechanic?
Um, hmm, um, I mean, always dream big, and prove yourself to someone, and always work your heart out, because like there's never a dull moment when it comes to racing. So just keep your head up on your shoulders, and don't really, I mean, you can have your little friend group and stuff like that, but like don't really listen to what social media says. And like there's a lot of people that'll try to down talk you. Like I went through that personally, where I had a time where I had people that were bashing me because of things that I didn't do but got dragged into. And a wise friend of mine told me recently, he said, don't really pay attention to social media. Don't listen to what others have to say. Just do your thing, and you'll go places. I mean, obviously, listen, like, if people are giving you advice, take it. But, like, if there's people that are like, hating on you or bashing you, this, that, and whatnot, just ignore them and just keep doing your thing and do what you're trained to do, and you'll go places.
Yeah, for sure. That's some very good advice. Um, can you describe a particularly challenging or memorable project or repair you've worked on?
Um,
School did me bad today.
uh, honestly, Four Crown.
That was a good
Granted,
one.
Granted, I didn't help much on the car, but like shining a flashlight and like running back and forth and grabbing tools.
Yeah.
Um, that one was a challenging night. It was
Mhm.
really challenging. That and what Belleville.
Yeah, I know you like
Uh,
that.
Literally,
You like that.
literally the first Silver Crown race of the season on dirt, and then the last Silver Crown dirt race of the season.
Mhm. Will you be
Both
going back
resulted.
at the end? Or
Do what?
never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
Both kind of resulted in. Well, one of them was a tire that went down, and then the other one was a crack problem.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Are there any specific race car modifications or setups that you are known for, or that you particularly enjoy working on?
um, I like doing tire work. That's kind of one of my favorite things is mounting and dismounting tires and stuff like that. Like I enjoy that. Um, fueling up the car is pretty fun. Just got to be careful not to do something wrong and possibly catch myself on fire. But I mean, other than that, that's a lot of what I do is I'll do tire stuff like I just said, and I'll fuel up the car, and then the rest of it I'm like taking notes on what different things do, because there's still a little bit that I'm learning. But so I'm always listening to what the team has to say and like learning a lot with these guys. So
For sure. Um, can you explain the key differences between maintaining a race car and a regular road car?
um ugh. I'm not really one that's good with working on regular road cars. but I do know race cars are a lot more simpler, and they're a lot. I mean, they're still complex in their own ways, but like it's a pretty simple system. Like there's a lot that is similar, but then again, there's a lot that's not similar. Like we don't like we have a battery, I think, on the Silver Crown car and on the midget, but like the sprint car, there's no battery. So like it just kind of it just depends. I mean, I work with so many different car types. It's kind of hard to answer that kind of a question. I mean, it's not hard, but I just don't feel like taking the time to explain all of that.
Yeah. Whew. How do you stay up to date with the latest advancements in race car technology and engineering?
PRI. That's
Sure.
that's the easiest way to do it is go to PRI every year, which I have yet to make it to PRI.
But
But
you still know stuff.
um I'm always getting information from crew chiefs that I work for and car owners, and I'm always looking up stuff and just to keep myself up to date with everything, and being friends with a couple of people that are chassis builders and people that fabricate race car parts, that kind of helps.
Yeah, for sure. How do you balance the need for speed and performance with the need for safety when working on race cars?
Um, Honestly, I don't have an answer for that question.
All right.
It's just kind of one of those. Um, the driver keeps himself safe in the race car, and I mean, like everything that we do, we take notes of, and we make sure it's safe.
Yeah. Um, do you have any favorite race car models or drivers that have left a significant impression on you during your career? I think I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I do. I have drivers that have left an impression on me. Brian Clausen's one of them. If it wasn't for him, I honestly probably wouldn't be where I'm at today.
That's the one I was going to say.
So,
Speaking of Clausen, you're on the Clausen Esports. How's that going for you?
it's going. I mean, I haven't done very much with the team lately, but I am a Driven to Save Lives ambassador, and I'm on the BC SimSport iRacing team, and I mean, I've been with that team since day one, before it was even the BC SimSports team, when it was a different team. They're great people, and it's great to know that like the Clausen family is backing that team up, and it's just great to know that there's other people that want to keep Brian's legacy alive.
Yeah, for sure. I know they did a podcast with you, which was your first ever, right?
No. I don't remember who the first time I was on a podcast with, but I've been on other podcasts before.
Oh, alright. Uh, hmm. Are there any specific races or championships that you dream of working on in the future?
Mm, One goal of mine is to do something in the Indy 500.
Yes.
Obviously, if like for obvious reasons, I want to be on a pit crew for the 500. But honestly, just doing the full-time USAC Silver Crown thing, that's kind of just to be, I think we're sitting like fourth or fifth in points with Silver Crown. Just to be that far up in points I'm ecstatic about it because those guys we bust our ass. Sorry for the language, but we're constantly, you know, working hard just to keep ourselves in the race. And, you know, I don't think I've seen any people more devoted to going out there and just having fun while also being that far up in points in our first full season as a Silver Crown team.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, just, USAC in general is, just to be up front with USAC is kind of a dream of mine.
Yeah, for sure. We know you've had some racing experience with quarter midgets and stuff
Yeah.
in the past when you were little, and of course you drove what's his name's car? Brian.
Ivan Glotzbach.
Ivan. Yeah. You drove
Yeah, I
his
drove
car
I
for a
drove
few
his
laps.
305 last year for a couple laps.
Although you didn't get to do the laps you wanted to do, but
Well, we did most of the laps that we wanted to do.
well, yeah.
It was the kind of got held back there because there was another car on track, and I just rolled up on him too quick, and I didn't want to tear up two race cars trying to get around him. But yeah,
How was that experience for you? I know you've told me in the past, but be a good little refresher for
you
me
you
and
you can't really explain what it's like to be in a race car. I mean,
yeah,
excuse me, Jack Hewitt put it in the best words.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say those words on this podcast.
If you want to say
Uh,
it, you can. I can let you
hang
know
on.
if you're green. But until then, while you're typing it, let's see. Can you explain the importance of aerodynamics in race car design and maintenance?
Um, it's pretty important. I mean, because you want to have the most streamlined um car there is, like that you can have, so you can cut through the wind. But I mean, it's important. But then again, like driver skill is pretty important with all that.
Yeah, for sure. If you want to know what Jack Hewitt said, have to go look it up. But what's shoot, I'm almost out of my questions. Let's see here. Let's go up here. You got another question for me?
No, not really.
All right. Never mind. He can say it.
So like, like your first experience driving a sprint car, you can't really compare it to anything, but all I can say is like I can't sleep on my stomach that night. So, um, it's like driving a really big go-kart though, but you just have 900 horsepower sitting right in front of you. And that thing just idling around, it tells you, I want to go. And you treat that thing right, it's going to treat you right, but you can't be scared of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think I already asked you that question. What are some of the most common issues or challenges you encounter? Have I asked you that?
Um, no, you haven't.
Oh,
But
well,
the
yeah.
most common issues we encounter is tires.
Yeah. I know
Um,
I've heard that one before. Tires suck. Prices are crazy on tires as well.
tires are a big issue. I mean, it's not like it's not. I mean, like we can blame them, but we can't blame them because like they're rushing to get tires out because there's a shortage in them,
Yeah.
and they're just not. They don't have time to um to do what they got to do. I forgot the word, but the tires have to go through this process, and they just don't have time to let them cure. That's what it is. They have to cure. They don't have time to cure, and then they go out there on race cars with uncured tires, and it's just bound for failure.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, let's see here. Would you like to go into detail on what may or may not be happening for you
No,
soon, or no? And that's a
no,
no. Oh man, I don't got any questions. Let's see. I
that
have a
is
question.
that is stuff I'm not prepared to talk about at this time.
Can you share any insider tips or tricks for race car enthusiasts who want to improve their own car's performance?
No, I cannot. I
Well,
like, I can't give out speed secrets.
yeah. Alright,
No.
let's see here. How long have we been live? Let's see. 34, so about a few more minutes. How do you handle unexpected issues or breakdowns during a race?
Well, you always have to expect the unexpected, and we're prepared for pretty much everything. So, like, I don't know, like if a tire goes down or something, we're um we're always prepared to quickly and effectively get the tire off and throw a new tire on in the work area or like the pit area or pit road.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you just kind of always have to be on your toes and always watching what's going on. Because the moment that you're not watching, something's bound to go wrong. And you just always have to be prepared and be on your feet.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man. Alright, what are can you explain the importance of tire selection and maintenance in race car performance?
Um, I mean, like stagger's a big thing on how the car's gonna drive.
Yes.
Um, I mean the tread pattern is pretty much the same. There's some of them that have like an extra row of blocks for the dirt tires, and some that are a block shorter or thinner than the rest. Um, it all really just kind of depends on what offset you want on the car and how like just depends on your setup. That's really what matters is your base setup and then what your offset is on your rims. That's really all there is to that.
Yeah, for sure. Uh. Oh man. How do you communicate with the driver during a race, and how important is their feedback in making adjustments to the car?
So I personally don't have a radio on me when at the Silver Crown races, but the team is constantly talking to him, and if they need me to like if something's going on in practice and like we're having a problem with the stagger or something just doesn't feel right, they'll tell me, hey, grab this specific tire. They'll tell me the offset on it and the numbers on it, and I'll grab it and I'll have it ready. And that's like those kind of things could make or break, like with USAC and stuff like that. You don't get pit stops, but like in practice, making sure the car's dialed in can make or break a race. And on the dirt side of things, just giving hand signals and getting hand signals back, it gives us a lot of information on you know how the car's feeling, like what line that they need to run or what line the leaders are running, how far ahead they are, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite racetrack?
Ooh, that's kind of a hard one. I love the facility at Eldora. that's like facility wise, but racing wise, hmm. Um, I have to say Putnamville.
I like Putnamville. I've never been, but I've seen some racing there, and
I
definitely,
mean, it's all right. I like that place a lot. So,
definitely. All right, one or two more questions. Can you share? Well, no, maybe that's kind of the same as question. Um, how do you manage the logistics of transporting race cars and equipment to different racetracks and locations?
restate that first part of that.
How do you manage the logistics of transporting race cars and equipment to different racetracks and locations?
Um, I think the biggest part of that is like making sure you have everything right before you leave. Um, 'Cause, I mean, if you miss one thing, you never know. You could end up needing that, and then you don't have it, and you're bum out of luck. But honestly, I'm not really sure. Because I typically just meet the team there. Other than like when we go to like Kansas or Missouri, stuff like that. That like I'll meet the team at the shop, but for the most part, it's meeting them at the shop just to get in the vehicle and go. So I really don't know how to answer that question at this time.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Are there any specific race car technologies or innovations that you believe will have a significant impact on the industry in the coming years?
Mm, I mean, all the ones that I've always thought about are already making an impact, like the Sissy bar, the Halo, and the Outlaw bars. Those are all things that come to mind when you ask that question. And I think eventually I could see like um sort of an outlaw bar kind of style bar on a like a late model
Yeah.
right beside the driver's head, like an extra bar there, just to kind of keep them a little more supported inside those race cars. I could see that happening, and like a Halo style bar across the top of a late model kind of thing. Like I can see those kinds of things happening
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah,
But
for sure. How do you ensure that the race car adheres to all the regulations and rules of the racing series it competes in?
so we go off of a rule book and we do a lot of measurements. So as long as everything measures right, and then we have scales at the race shop, and we'll weigh the car there, and we'll make sure the car scales out right, and then we'll make sure it weighs the right amount of weight with the driver, full gear in the car. We make sure it weighs, I think, something like at least 50 pounds over weight, just to make sure that we meet weight requirements. And we always make sure our stuff's legal. Like at the Rumble, we had an issue with like the offsets on the um with the different motor packages. There's only like there's certain offsets that they allow you to run. And after we won the Rumble, they almost disqualified us because like we run a Mopar in that car, and everyone else runs like Fords and um the Volkswagen motors. And the Mopar puts out more horsepower than the rest, so they give us a little bit wider of a tire to use so we can put that power down. And they almost disqualified us because of it after our win, but we showed them in the rule book, like we made sure that our car was legal, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my bad, I didn't know about that rule," and so, but yeah, no, we always try to make sure. Our cars are perfectly in line with the rule book.
Well, we'll do, I think I already said one more, but we'll do this last one here. Are there any unique challenges you face when preparing a race car for different weather conditions, such as rain or extreme heat?
I mean, with rain, we'll just load the car up and
Yeah,
put it in the hauler.
that's what I
Extreme
expected.
heat, I mean, like, we always make sure the driver's got a fan on him when he comes in. Um, Trying to think here, what else? Um, we always try to keep that motor as cold as, like, obviously keep the motor as cool as we can.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much it. Oh, we make sure we save our tires as much as we can as well. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that I could explain about, but some of that is kind of speed secret stuff, you know?
Mhm. One last question. This is the actual finale. I just had another one pop up. Hmm. I know how to. I gotta think of how to word it to make it. Yeah. It's not a hard question, but let's see. What is your? I don't know why I thought it was so hard. What's your favorite race, or what's the favorite race you've been to this year?
Um, I was gonna say Four Crown Nationals because of the chills I got there,
Yeah.
but honestly, the Missouri Swing with the All Stars with Mario and Belleville are the two favorite races I've been to this year.
Hmm.
Belleville because I got to like Brian Clausen,
Yeah.
the story that I have with him is I had gotten into a quarter midget accident, wanted nothing to do with it, like was done racing, like just didn't want to get back in it. And he talked me back into it, and about a week or two later we lost him. So like going to Belleville and like being able to kind of connect, like kind of feel his presence while we were there, um, helped me mentally a lot. And just getting to get that off like my mind and was great. But then again, like just traveling with Mario was probably the best part of my season was going to Missouri because I met a lot of good people and you know I'd say I made a lot of friends along the way on that trip. So that definitely tops it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, um, thought I had another one pop up. Alright, I guess not. Oh yeah, I got it now. What? One last question. I keep having good ones pop up. I keep just having good ones come to my mind. What's your favorite racing video game?
Um, Started off as World of Outlaws 2002 for the PS2, but it's got to be iRacing, dude. Just have so much fun on there, and just yeah,
Yeah,
the amount of
Outlaws.
people I've met from it, it's
Outlaws.
insane to think
Yeah,
about all the people that I've met because of iRacing and all the friends I've made.
yeah, Outlaws was a pretty good game. Well, Kaleb, thank you for coming on board on the podcast here. And
Yeah,
who knows, we might see you back sometime.
yeah, hopefully.
Anything you want to say to the fans before we go?
Um, if anybody out there knows who I am, thank you for the support.
Yeah, well, there's an episode of the Oval in the books, and we'll see you next time. Not sure who, but if you follow our Facebook page, you will see. And good evening, everyone. Good night, good evening, whatever. We'll see y'all next time.